includes the group Feeding Southwest Virginia. It has a warehouse distribution center in Appalachia, an impoverished mountainous part of the state. Salem, Virginia is 4 hours south of D.C.
And here would be produce, would be product that is needs to be refrigerated. Then beyond that door is a freezer the same size as the cooler.
So, give me a couple examples of what's in the freezer.
Okay, so what's in the freezer could be meat, protein. We don't get that donated too often. Sometimes we get shipments of meat in. Could be frozen entrees, frozen vegetables.
Pamela Irvine has run this organization for 44 years. And I asked her, the person who relies on her organization, what does that person look like?
It looks like me. When I look and think about my life and the challenges that our family had early on and having $25 every 2 weeks to buy groceries, it looks like me. And during COVID, it looked like people that never expected to need food from a food pantry. It could look like you. Mm-hmm. The face of hunger is changing and food insecurity is changing rapidly. It's not just people trapped in mountains or in areas that are so economically deprived that they really don't have hope for a gainful employment. Yeah. It's also people that have had good jobs and now don't have a job and have lost their job.
That, of course, happens in anywhere USA. Here in Appalachia, Irvine says the key pillar industries are mostly gone.
The picture here in Southwest Virginia is the fact that we have high food insecurity. We haven't been able to meet the number of individuals that are food insecure. We haven't been able to close that gap ever because of the amount of resources. And now that food insecurity is higher and we're looking at possible cuts for the SNAP program and Medicaid, impacts our neighbors, which means more of our neighbors are going to have to turn to the charitable food distribution system and to our feeding partners.
So this is perhaps the lowest income part of the state. Why is food insecurity higher here?
It's generally higher in rural communities, which we predominantly serve rural communities, but also when we look at the industry that was here that really thrived, it was tobacco, coal mining, textile and furniture industry, and we started losing those industries in 2008 and all the support industries for all those different types of jobs. And it's been hard to replace those jobs. And we know children, food is not just medicine for today for children, but it's also preventive medicine.
When children are malnourished, what kinds of diseases do they tend to get?
They tend to get diabetes. That's one of the highest. They, have a tendency to have problems with their teeth. We've heard dentists speak about how that they've had to almost pull all the teeth out of some of the children's mouths because they didn't have proper nutrition.
And then Irvine mentions the budget bill moving through Congress. It's a 4-hour drive to Capitol Hill, though the fancy suits of D.C. seem a world away from rural Virginia. She says she's reaching out to senators, imploring them to protect the safety net, that is, health insurance and food assistance for the needy.
I have to have hope that people really don't want to see other people, and specifically children, go hungry. I have to have hope that somewhere in all this, people will realize the unintended consequences of policy can cause detrimental emotional, mental, and physical well-being of someone else. And that in America, people should not go hungry.
Before I head out, Feeding Southwest Virginia staffers send boxes of food down a chute. And down below are members of a local church to pick them up. They say the number of people in their neighborhood relying on their food bank has tripled in the last year. And looking back at her 4 decades of doing this work, Pamela Irvine at Feeding Southwest Virginia says she thought America could end hunger and food insecurity. She adds, I was naive. Here and Now is a production of NPR and WBUR. I'm Scott Chan.
How you doing, folks? How you doing? I'm on my way to an appointment, doctor's appointment, real quick. And listen to my podcast of the day. And it's raining outside, off and on. The rain has stopped now on this Wednesday, but it's supposed to come back. And I love the rain, actually. The rain helps, it cools it off, and I don't have to water one part of my food forest. So I love it. And the plants like it too. So what we were just listening to, the podcast, was about the government SNAP benefits, aka food stamps, and how this current administration is made some changes to the food stamp program. And one of the changes is there's no more junk food, and they're going to be changing on how people can actually get approved for food stamps and all that. And they're going to be changing the ways people get food stamps, and they're going to be cutting off a lot of people from food stamps, from what I'm seeing. When I think about the SNAP benefits, aka food stamps, the food SNAP benefits is not supposed to be a lifetime program. And from what I've seen, it's become a lifetime program for some folks. There are folks out here who are very healthy, and everything else, and can go get a job, but they refuse to get a job because of all the USA government benefits, such as SNAP, aka food stamps. So a lot of folks are saying, why go get a job? Especially if I have kids, why go get a job when I can just sit at home and basically do nothing and get a whole ton of food stamps to feed my kids? So why even work? I don't have to work because the government's going to take care of me. Well, those times are now changing. Me, myself, I don't have a problem with people getting SNAP, but in order to get SNAP, I think it should be a benefit of employment. You should have to do something to get the benefits and everything. You should have to either work at least 10 to 15 hours a week, or you should do volunteer work if you physically can. Now, for people who are disabled, who can't work, and all that, then they should be able to get the SNAP benefits because they can't work. That's a whole different ball game. Due to medical conditions. If you can't work due to medical conditions, then you should be able to get SNAP with no problem. But if you're out here, you're healthy, you're young, and you're healthy, and all that, you should be able to qualify and do the new requirements. If it requires you to work 15 hours a day, 20 hours a day, then you go get you a job and you work to get those benefits. You shouldn't be sitting at home all day. You shouldn't be sitting at home all day and getting SNAP, aka food stamps, if you're healthy, if you don't have any medical problems at all. That's nonsense. So I'm gonna leave it at that and head to my appointment, my doctor's appointment, and do that and wait for the rain to come back. The rain's supposed to be coming back I have one more errand. I have to go to the store and get some things from the store before I head back in and make my dinner. So y'all have a nice day.